Welcome back to the Pain Game YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Today we're talking Terence Crawford's annihilation of Errol Spence Jr. A fight that was two of the best, putting it all on the line, pound for pound, top 10 fighters going at it. And I love this, man. This is what boxing really desperately needs right now. It's proof that it's not all about protecting your zero. You're never gonna reach the pinnacle of boxing if you're worried about losing to a point where you're not willing to risk it against top fighters, because this is what legacy is. This is what defines legacy. How do you perform on the biggest night of them all against the best of the best? That's why we have to give so much credit to Errol Spence Jr., because he was willing to lose his zero to search for greatness. And just because he came up short and well short doesn't mean that he still isn't elite. It doesn't mean that we should just toss him aside and go, he was never any good anyway. That'll be a load of rubbish. And boxing has done that too often in the past. And it's important we give these guys a pat on the back even when they do lose these fights, because this gives us a chance to have those answers and actually know and to settle arguments instead of them being had in the fucking comments of YouTube. And I put out a tweet, or whatever you call them these days, and I picked Terence Crawford ahead of the fight because he is the boxer of the two. As much as Terence is a good boxer, well-rounded, has everything as well, he's more of a physical fighter. He's more of a bully. Whereas I just felt like Terence has the smooth skills and the precision, and most of all the ring IQ, man. The guy is a genius. I thought he would win, but to make it look that easy, I didn't expect it to look like total one-sided dominance like that. That was embarrassing a little bit. If I'm being brutally honest, that was a bit embarrassing for Errol, because when you're in what people are calling a 50-50, all right, a few more leaning towards Crawford, you're expecting a war, and this wasn't a war. This was a one-sided beatdown. And a star was made. You know, these fights are where stars are born, and from the walkout, Terence Crawford having Eminem at the entrance announcing his name, then you walk out to lose yourself, mate, the goosebumps were tingling up the spine. And just to be like, I got Eminem to walk me out. I'm the big deal here. Don't you forget it. And by comparison, it was Errol Spence Jr.'s knees weak, arms were heavy, vomit on a sweater already. Like, he did not look good. He walked out. He looked nervous, mate. He looked so nervous. Whereas Terence Crawford looked as calm as you like. He looked like he was just going to the shops. If anything, I was a little bit worried. I was like, mate, wake up. It was like he'd played this fight over in his head a million times. There was zero shred of doubt that he was going to walk through this guy. I did wonder about Errol Spence's weight cut, and then also, you know, the guy had a car accident in the past. How sharp is he able to be? But, you know, in his last fight, he got the job done, so you think, okay. But there was this slight hint of, can he still take the level of damage he could have done pre-car accident? Because that car accident was horrific. I'll be honest, you know, he looked like he had been in a bit of a car accident after this fight, because it was just one-way traffic. Now, the first round was a bit of a feeling out period. Terence Crawford didn't seem fussed on going after him at all, just getting a look at him. And, you know, you could argue Errol Spence took that first round just out of sheer pressure. The second round was where Terence Crawford just stepped it up a gear. And at that moment, at that very second, this fight was over, because Errol Spence was not able to implement his game plan in any way, shape or form. He looked clueless in there. It quickly fell apart for him. You know, at this level, you think, all right, these guys should be evenly matched. They're both top of their game. But what we found out is that even at this level, there are levels within this level, you know, and Terence Crawford's very top of it. It reminded me a little bit of Usyk. And when you want to talk about being a master, Terence Crawford's a master of distance. And he was playing around with that range so well with Errol Spence Jr., who always was just a little bit out of range when he would throw these shots. And you almost feel sorry for him, because you're being convinced he's bluffing you into thinking, I'm in range. Come on, hit me. You can hit me. Go and hit me. Stop trying to hit me and hit me. Literally nothing. It was bouncing off the gloves. It was such a meaningless amount of shots thrown that were just a complete waste of energy. That is what happens when you're in there with a genius. He exhausts you without expending anywhere near the level of energy that you are. So you've got Errol Spence in there who is putting his foot down just to keep up with the master Terence Crawford, whereas Crawford's in cruise control. He's like, I'll pick this up whenever I want, mate. That really is the difference. It was a bit like the Matrix, you know? It was like Errol Spence Jr. is throwing everything as fast as he can, and Terence Crawford can just see it coming a mile away. You are basically in slow motion to him. And when he throws, he knows the exact perfection angle to throw it at, the gap to sneak it in, and the amount of sneaky shots that he threw that weren't even powerful. But because Errol Spence Jr. didn't see them coming, he just kept getting dropped. And it wasn't even like they were banging shots. It was just, whoop, didn't see that one, did you? Just sneaking it in and, you know, really Floyd Mayweather levels of genius, in my opinion. It was one of the best performances I've ever seen in a boxing ring. Because here's a man who has so much pressure. You're going to be a 2-time undisputed champion, 2 different weight classes. And yet, it was just nothing to him. Spence would throw 10 shots and maybe, 2 of them might get through, but even then they would just be like grazing shots. And then Crawford would throw 2 shots, but they would land and they would look way more precise, way more impactful. It was almost like he had way more power, but he doesn't. He just has the timing and the accuracy and the setups so that when he delivers it, it hurts way more because you are so much more vulnerable because of how he's perfected that entire situation. This was just a controlled demolition that was supposed to be a war. Terence Crawford really made a name for himself in this moment. I wish I'd done a breakdown of it beforehand, but we've been busy setting up the new studio. But this is like one of those ones where you're like, wow, you are that guy. And, I've seen something funny actually. Gareth A. Davis, who's in the past criticised my line of questioning for Tyson Fury, obviously being Tyson Fury's little chum, and he put a tweet out saying after 6 rounds he had I think he said 2 rounds to Errol Spence, and genuinely you're like, give him 1, but he got dropped in the second and dismantled from there on after. What were you watching? I like Gareth as a man. He seems like a nice guy, right? I'm not trying to pick on him here, but this is a professional boxing journalist who gets all the access, all the jobs, and is routinely criticised by the boxing community for just being the yes man of the Furies and whatnot. And I get it, right? You want to stay in with the Furies. But what are you looking at, mate? I just couldn't believe it. And look, it's been great this year seeing the likes of Tank and Ryan Garcia go at it. Now Crawford and Spence go at it. People risking their all for legacy. That is what we need to throw praise on more for all of those guys, even the losers. Because when you've got the biggest heavyweight in the world who won't get in the ring with probably the smallest heavyweight in the division in Alexander Usyk, it really shows how embarrassing Tyson Fury's legacy is becoming now, to be known as the only champion who grabbed a belt, tucked and ran, because this is what he should be doing right now. And going back to pound for pound and all of that, Alexander Usyk for me is still the pound for pound number 1. Because when we talk about these smaller guys and how amazing they look in the ring, yeah, they do look amazing. And if you were to look at their skills on the eye, it's more beautiful, the way they move, because they can. Well, we're talking about guys who are literally half the weight of a lot of these heavyweights. There's a reason for that. The bigger you get, the harder it is to do this stuff, because boxing is a small man sport. It always has been. It's endurance-based. It's not strength-based, generally. That is why, for me, what Usyk has done in fighting all of those 200-pound guys and cleaning out the division, becoming undisputed at cruiserweight, then moving up and fighting 255-pound Anthony Joshua, who was so much bigger than the guys he was previously fighting. Like, we look at the weight increments in the welterweight division, for example, a few pounds here or there. There's fucking hell on. And there's Usyk going, yeah, I had a 50-pound advantage. Say if I care. It just shows how special Usyk is to me. I think pound for pound's a bit ridiculous anyway. Like, they're all great. At this level, all of these champions, they're all just as great as each other. But for Usyk to be able to beat a completely different style of athlete at cruiserweight, who was far more endurance and speed, and then go up to heavyweight and take on guys who are completely different again, you're being hit with such different problems. That is what pound for pound is all about, is transferring your skills to different weight classes, to different styles, to different sets. And Usyk has proven that. So for me, when you look at the advantages that he has been faced with and how he's dealt with them, what a guy. And I don't really give a fuck about Fury anymore. To me, Usyk is the champ. Because if you're willing to turn up and the other guy doesn't, you're that guy. And I know I'm banging on again about Fury, but it is a shame we're not getting the same thing at heavyweight that we had at welterweight. And I just wish Fury had the same attitude that Anthony Joshua did about doing what's right for boxing, taking on the best challengers. Because until you do that, you can never be classed as a true champion. This is what we've now got out of Terence Crawford's win. We've got a true champion. I also just look at Errol Spence Jr. as a true champion as well for being willing to put it all on the line against him. His stock should rise as well in some degree. I know he's taken a loss and it was brutal, but like, well done, mate. If you don't defend that title against proper contenders, you are never the true champion anyway. That's my take on this. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. How good is Terence Crawford? A lot of people are comparing him to Floyd Mayweather. It's a fair comparison, you have to say. I mean, he's really right up there right now. Let me know who you think's better in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the Pain Game YouTube channel, and I'll see you on the next one.